भूत्वादीन गणेश करुणया कोपीन कंथासितौ.
Hare Krishna, glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda and the Sankirtan mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and all glories to the Hare Krishna Society and the Prabhupada Disciples Association, which is a group of devotees that are giving association to other devotees who are interested in protecting Prabhupada's legacy in his lectures, his original books, and his teachings throughout the world. And this is very valuable because association is the key to making advancement. And this is something that's sought after by people that are eager to find the source of truth in terms of spiritual life. So this is part of our reason for being, is to give good association, sadhu sangha. And of course, all of us that joined the movement in the early years, we were seeking good association as well and looking for a spiritual master, which is the topmost association. To get the association of the pure devotee of Krishna is the most valuable thing. There's nothing more valuable than that. And I was looking at a reel on Facebook of a fellow from Canada here. His name is Jim Carrey. He's actually from Hamilton or Burlington. Hamilton, Burlington's kind of the same place, and he's a famous comedian. And he was talking about his spiritual evolution. You know, he's gone through a lot of trauma. I don't know a lot about it, but I think one of his friends committed suicide and this and that, and it spurred him on in terms of his spiritual life, so-called spiritual life. And he was giving him an explanation about his, let's say, epiphany. And it was interesting to note that it was pure mental speculation. Oh, I realized that some kind of Mayavadi philosophy, I'm part of the universe, that everything is in me. So, like that, he had no good association except his mind. The mind is very fickle, as Krishna explains in the Gita. So real association comes from people who are enlightened by Krishna consciousness. And they either they come to the stage of enlightenment by their association with the pure devotee. Now, someone could say, oh, well, you're not very advanced. Oh, yeah. Okay, well, that's all right. But if one gets the association of Prabhupada, that is not an accident. That is not by chance. That is part of the transcendental arrangement of Krishna. And so, in this way, one becomes blessed by the grace of the spiritual master. Just like I was in New Vrindavan back in 1973. Now someone could say, well, big deal. Okay, it's not a big deal to you. But Prabhupada came in the temple, I bowed down, and both of his feet went on my head. I thought, whose feet are on my head? Who's this person that's not conscious of how to deal with other people? And I looked up when we got up off off the floor paying our obeisances, I saw that Prabhupada's feet were on my head. Both of them. So was that lucky? Yeah, it was a transcendental blessing for us. So like that, we get association with the pure devotee. This is transcendental mercy. And then the devotees, his disciples, they share that mercy with others. This is their job, like we read yesterday in the Gita. There's nothing more valuable than sharing Krishna consciousness. Krishna explains in the 18th chapter, nothing more dear to Krishna than those devotees that share Krishna consciousness with others. And association is the key to spiritual success. It really is. With bad association, you become tainted. And with good association, you become elevated. And that's the goal of the devotees, the Prabhupada Disciples Association, is to give good association. Nothing is more poignantly precious. In the Mahabharata, it says, nothing is more poignantly precious than when we contemplate the loss of it. It's a very important point that we should understand, that things come by the grace of Krishna, and then they can also go away. That is the reality, and everything goes away in due course of time. But if we are by chance given the opportunity to associate with Prabhupada or associate with the Prabhupada disciples that are dedicated to his mission and carry on that mission of protecting Prabhupada's legacy, that is a great opportunity. Because what's going to happen in the future to this movement that Prabhupada set up? There's a big post on Facebook that I put up yesterday. It was someone else, I think. Of course, I got it from someone else because there's so much information there. But the question mark is, what will happen to Prabhupada's movement in the near future if Prabhupada is not put in the position of the focused point of view for all of us as Siksha and Diksha Guru? Well, I make a prediction that it'll go away. This movement will not survive. Why? Because Prabhupada is not at the central point of it. This is the great, and by whimsical behavior of people that we know, this movement, which is a great movement, will be destroyed due to whimsical behavior. Now, someone could say, why do you bring that up? Because we're explaining to you the truth of the matter. This is the truth of the matter. How things will last. Prabhupada said the temples may fail. Yes, that is quite possible. Just like I know, because we bought a huge building in Toronto, which is like an empty house now. It's worth $45 million. Now someone goes, well, are you bragging? No. That was a historical event that took place 40 years ago. But look how it's evolved now. Is it thriving? No. Are there any people in the building? No. Has it become Hinduized? Yes. So this is the reality of the situation, Prabhu. As this movement may go away, but Prabhupada's books, Prabhupada said, will not go away. Everything may go away, but my books will not go away. And in this way, the Krishna Consciousness movement will carry on. So we want to promote that. And in our classes, we're always focusing on reading from the authorized original books of Śrīla Prabhupāda in our discussions and readings held by the devotees of Krishna Consciousness. So we're going to go further to the diaries of Śrīla Prabhupāda and continue reading these wonderful notes that Śrīla Prabhupāda has given to us. We just read the 6 Shastakam prayers, the translation yesterday, and we're going to go to the further to finish this particular section of the diary. Chanting of the holy names of God is recommended for everyone, both for the mass of people and the class of people. Class. Beautiful. Prabhupada had such class. Expert dresser, very clean, so well spoken. First class. Those who are scholars, philosophers, scientists, religionists, and educated may read the English version of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami with particular attention to the purports appended with each and every verse. They have appreciated the publication as follows. Quote, at a time when not only the people of India, but those of the West need the chastening quality of love and truth in a corrupting atmosphere of hate and hypocrisy. A work like this will have uplifting and corrective influence. What is God? He is truth. He is love. Even an atheist must accept the supremacy of those qualities and how much they are needed by the people of the world who have been taught to deny God, and these qualities do not require much emphasis. The author has attempted a tremendous task. A pursual will give us, in the sample measure, a knowledge of the original. The essence of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is the exposition of the absolute truth. We would recommend this book. The editor's vast and deep study of the subject and critical insight are reflected in the notes, and we have no doubt that with the publication of these volumes, no doubt, the rightful interpretations of the Bhagavatam, which has been the gift of Sri Chaitanya and his Gosvāmī followers, has now been available to the English-knowing world for the first time. The elaborate method is very helpful to the student, ardent student, eager, those who are eager to learn, of Bhagavatam who lack in Sanskrit language, like most of us. It is admitted in all hands that Bhagavatam is the most difficult text amongst the Puranas. The author richly deserves the gratitude of the devotees for his pious, learned labor of love. These volumes speak very highly of Swamiji's scholarship and especially of his love of cultural pursuits. When we look into the enormous labor and sacrifice in producing them, so this is a review, single-handed, and that too at a ripe old age of 68. We earnestly pray to the Almighty that he may spare Swamiji for all the years he may require to finish the magnum opus of 60 volumes and earn the love and gratitude of his fellow men in pursuit of divine love and grace, nay, of the entire humanity. You've done a first-class work, and you deserve the hearty commendations of every Indian and every Hindu. Your deep and penetrating study of the subject and your philosophical insights are reflected in these books. So this is, I don't know who wrote that, but it's a wonderful appreciation of Śrīla Prabhupāda's work. And every word is absolutely true. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupada. Glories to the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya. And we'll move forward with the opening Jaya Radha Madhava prayers sung by Śrīla Prabhupada to give us a chance. I'm glad to see everybody's joining us now for the discussion with Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu on the original Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam published in 1962. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupada.
Sai. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Yaśodā-nandana Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavindra ki jai. Namacharya Śrīla Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Sri Radha Krishna Gaur Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Giridhardhan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Navadvip Dham ki jai. Swami Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Ganga Mai ki jai. Jamuna Mai ki jai. Tulasi Devi ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Swami Bhaktivinoda ki jai. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 1:1:1. Narayanam namaskrityam. Narayanam namaskrityam. Naram cheva narottamam. Naram cheva narottamam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Tato Jayam Udirayet. Tato Jayam Udirayet. One should utter the means of conquest, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, after offering respectful obeisances, 1. To the personality of Godhead Narayana, 2. To the Nara Narayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3. To the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4. To Śrīla Vyasadeva, the author, from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 1-4. Welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. As we do every Saturday, we will read a few selected verses from Canto 1, Chapter 2, where it describes what is the position of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and the benefit of hearing this great literature. From Canto 1, Chapter 2, text number 17. Shrinvatam svakata Krishnaha punya shravana kirtanaha hridyantasto yabhadrani vidhunoti suritsatam. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is also the Paramatma in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, does cleanse the desire for material enjoyment in the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge for hearing his, Krishna's messages, which are themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Text number 18. Nashta prayeshu vavadreshu nityam bhagavata sevayam Bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. By regular attendance in the Bhagavatam class or rendering service unto the pure devotees, all that is inauspicious in the heart of a candidate becomes destroyed almost to nil, and thus loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, comes into being an irrevocable fact. Text number 19. Tadarajastamo bhavaha Kamalobhadayaschaye Chetayetera viddam stitam sattve prasidati. As soon as irrevocable loving service is fixed up in one's heart, at that time the effects of the nature's mode of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire and hankerings, etc., do disappear from one's heart, and he becomes fixed up in the mode of goodness, which makes him completely happy. Text number 20. Evam prasanna manaso bhagavad bhakti yogataha bhagavat tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate. Thus, when one is positively fixed up in the mode of unalloyed goodness, the enlivened-minded man affected by contact of devotional service of the Lord can positively know scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. Again, welcome everyone to this reading on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, this exalted literature, and the purports and explanations of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, Founder-Ācārya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. Before we start the reading today, I wanted to read another text from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam itself, which really nicely summarizes the transcendental benefit and the position of this exalted literature, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. This is from the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam itself, Canto 1, Chapter 1, Text number 3. Canto 1, Chapter 1, Text number 3. Nigama kalpataror galitam phalam shukamukadamrita dravasam yutam pibata bhagavata rasamalayam muhuraho rasika bhuvi babukaha. O the expert and thoughtful man, please know it that Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is the mature fruit of the desired tree of Vedic literatures, and it is emanated from the lips of Sri Śukadeva Gosvāmī. For this, the nectarine fruit has become more tasteful, although it is already readily swallowable nectarine juice, which is relished by all up to those who are already liberated souls. Today we will be reading from Canto 1, Chapter 4, text number 6 and 7. At least that's my understanding. I will repeat one line and you can try to repeat individually. Katam malakshita puraihi, katam malakshita pure, sampraptaha kuru jangalam, sampraptaha kuru jangalam, unmata mukajadavat, unmatta mukadajavat, vicharan gajasavaye, vicharan gajasavaye, katam, how, alakshitaha, recognize, puraihi, by the citizen, sampraptaha, reaching, kurujangalam, provinces of the name, unmatta, mad, mukha, dumb, jadavat, stunted, vicharan, wandering, gajasavaye, name with prefix of gaja, elephant. Translation by Śrīla Prabhupāda. How he, the son of Vyasa, was recognized by the citizens when he entered the city of Hastinapur, now Delhi, after first wandering in the provinces of Kuru and Jangal, appearing like a madman, dumb and stunted. Purport. The present city of Delhi was formerly known as Hastinapur on account of its first being established by the king Hasti. Gosvāmī Śukadeva, after being out of his paternal home, was roaming like a madman, dumb and stunted, and therefore it was very difficult for the citizens to recognize him in an exalted position. A sage is not therefore recognized by seeing, but he is recognized by hearing. One should approach a sadhu or great sage not for seeing, but for hearing him. If one is not prepared to give an oral reception to the words of a sadhu, there is no change or gaining anything from such sadhu. Śukadeva Goswami was a sadhu who could speak on transcendental activities of the Lord. He was not for satisfying the whims of ordinary citizens. He was recognized when he spoke on the subject of Bhagavatam, and he never attempted to make show of jugglery like magician, chemist, or physician. Outwardly, he appeared to be a stunted, dumb madman, but in fact, he was the most elevated transcendental personality. Text number 7. Katam va pandavayasya rajarisher munina saha sambandaha samabuttata samvadaha samabuttata yatra esha satvati shrutihi katam, how it is, va also, pandavayasya, of the descendant of Pandu, Parikshit, rajarishe, of the king who was a sage, munina, with the muni, saha, along, samvadaha, discussion, samabhut, took place, tata, darling, yatra, whereupon, esha, like this, satvati, transcendental, shrutihi, essence of the Vedas, translation. How it so happened that King Parikshit met the great sage, and thus the great transcendental essence of Vedas, Bhagavatam, was possible to be sung by him. Purport by Śrīla Prabhupāda. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is stated here as the essence of the Vedas. It is not imaginary story, as it is sometimes remarked by unauthorized men. It is also called Shuka Samhita, or the Vedic hymn spoken by Sri Śukadeva Goswami, the great liberated sage. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhaktivedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Bhagavad Vandanam Khadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sharkara Yuktam Kadatehi Visheshataham Adadhanastrinam Danter Idam Yachi Punaha Punaham Śrīmad Padam Bhoja Dhulisyam Janma Janmani Amsho Bhagavatosmyaham Sadadasu Asmi Sarvata Tat Kripa Pikshako Nityam Tat Prishta Sat Karomishvam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Here again we have another very important sequence of text from the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam about the appearance of Sri Sukta Goswami, Sri Śukadeva Goswami. Śukadeva Goswami had been living in the room of his mother for 16 years, according to the Brahma Vaivarta Purana, and he did not want to come out of the womb of his mother. He was completely self-satisfied in transcendence. And he kept hearing the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam from his father, Vyasadeva. When he decided to come out here, we see that he was recognized by the citizens when he entered the city of Hastinapur, now Delhi. Now, geographically, the area of Delhi and another city to the north of Delhi called Meerut, M-E-E-R-U-T, was the kingdom of the Pandavas. It is described that he was recognized by the citizens when he entered the city of Hastinapur, now Delhi, after first wandering in the provinces of Kuru and Jangal, appearing like a madman, dumb and stunted. We heard previously that Śukadeva Goswami had been wandering, and when he came, he was followed by his father Vyasadeva. Now, Śukadeva Goswami had no clothing. He was a complete Paramamsa, totally detached from the bodily conception of life. As such, when he appeared completely naked, the damsels who were bathing were not disturbed by him. But when they saw his father Vyasadeva, they covered themselves. And Prabhupada explains that there's a different standard of vision between Paramamsas and householders. This is the exalted position of Śukadeva Goswami. We will see later on in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 17, when the description of the great sages who attended this big event of the upcoming recitation of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, there is elaborate description of all the names of these great personalities who assembled to come and hear Śukadeva Goswami. And Prabhupada, in describing the position of Śukadeva Goswami, gives a warning that one should never minimize the importance of a devotee like Śukadeva Goswami. This is an indirect hint about his position. If one some way or other comes in contact with a Nitya Siddha pure devotee, one should be very careful how he behaves himself, not to become overly familiar. We know from various purports in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, but Prabhupada warns that familiarity breeds contempt. One should never think that because Śrīla Prabhupada, that exalted person, behaved amongst us just like an ordinary Madhyamadikari or middle-class devotee, that he was just like one of us. Of course, Prabhupada, in order to preach, came down from the platform of Uttamadikari, of a Paramamsa, and he basically behaved like a middle-class devotee. He preached, he interacted with so many people, received people in his rooms, he walked, he gave lectures, he was approachable, he dealt in such a way that everybody could interact with him. I just got a text recently from a very good friend in Australia, Ugrashrava Prabhu. He was Prabhupada's driver and chauffeur whenever Prabhupada came to Australia. Very nice devotee. Did a lot of service for the mission, and he told me a story that his young son, when he was just an infant, just a baby, used to come in Prabhupada's room and play with Śrīla Prabhupada. He would play. Prabhupada would allow the young lad to come and play with him. Now, it is sometimes we have to be very careful when we see the activities of a pure devotee, of a Paramamsa, not to think that he is just like an ordinary person like us. Early on in 1971, some devotees asked Śrīla Prabhupada, why is it that many of your personal servants, many persons who had been designated to render you close personal service to you, many of them ended up leaving, or as it used to call then, blooping. Why is that? That is difficult to understand. And Prabhupada's reply was, well, in the beginning they did very nice service, but then eventually they started to think that the spiritual master is an ordinary man like them, and then they fell. So we have to be very careful not to equate the position of the Mahabhagavata, of the Paramamsa devotee, to be an ordinary person, or to be that just like a middle-class devotee or a neophyte. There is a difference between the sadhaka, or the practitioner, and the sadhana, or the nitya siddha, the eternally liberated soul. That is the position of Śrīla Prabhupada. Otherwise, one becomes confused. One will be bewildered, and we have seen this. In 1969, one devotee who was engaged as Prabhupada's servant brought a television to show Prabhupada how the scientists had allegedly gone to the moon. And Prabhupada tried to explain to this devotee that according to the Bhagavad Gita, you cannot go there unless you get a suitable body. You cannot go there by mechanical means. And the devotee somewhere or other ended up leaving because he felt that Prabhupada did not conform his views to modern so-called scientific propaganda. Now, one has to be very careful. A pure devotee is not like an ordinary person. He's in touch with Krishna 24 hours a day. This is the position we are reading here with Śukadeva Gosvāmī. This person is not an ordinary person or just a professional pundit. So therefore, all kinds of inquiries, the great sages of Naimisharanya are inquiring from Śukadeva Gosvāmī. How did this person come about to recite the whole Bhagavatam? In text number 2, 3, 4, 5, says, Shaunaka inquired in which period was first begun, at which place it was so done, and on what reason this was taken up. Wherefrom Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa, the great sage, got the inspiration to compile this literature. Then it says, his, Vyasadev's son, Śukadeva Goswami, was a great devotee, equibalanced monist, and was always fixed up by his mind in monism. He was transcendental to the mundane activities, without being exposed like the stunted ignorant. Then there's a description. While Sri Vyasadeva, although not naked, was following his son, the beautiful young damsels who were taking bath naked covered their body with cloth, but did not do so when his son passed before them. On this, the sage inquired, and the young ladies replied that his son had purified his acts of looking on, and he had no distinction between male and female, while the sage had such distinction. And here we have the description of how Śukadeva is entering this transcendental place. It's a fairly large area that is described here. But Prabhupada makes a very important point. His Divine Grace says, a sage is not therefore recognized by seeing, but is recognized by hearing. One should approach a sadhu or great sage, not for seeing, but for hearing him. If one is not prepared to give an oral reception to the words of a sadhu, there's no change or gaining anything from such sadhu. Śukadeva Goswami was a sadhu who could speak on transcendental activities of the Lord. He was not for satisfying the whims of ordinary citizens. We see, due to the influence of Kali Yuga, the proliferation of show bottle sadhus, professional sadhus, so-called sadhus, whose only aim is to exploit the followers or the listeners. The so-called reciters of Bhagavat Saptaha are criticized by Śrīla Prabhupāda so many times in his books, condemning this practice simply done for monetary gain. We see in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, describes Sadhu Sangha Sarva Shastra Koi, that all the Shastras are advising one to associate with sadhus. Lavamatra Sadhu Sangha Sarva Siddhiyoi, that even if one associates with a sadhu or a saintly person, even for one lavamatra, which is Prabhupada describes in the Chaitanya Charitamrita as 1/11th of a second, then all perfection, sarva siddhi hoy, one can reach all perfection. Well, you can't hear too much in 1/11th of a second, but the powerful presence of such a sadhu will bring one all perfection. But some may say, well, there's many devotees, even during Prabhupada's time, who never, there are many devotees who were initiated without physically seeing Prabhupada. They did service in the temple, they were recommended by the temple president, they became initiated, they rendered service to the mission. They associated Prabhupada with Prabhupada by hearing, by submissive oral reception. Just like, for example, in this call, we have many devotees, both devotees and ladies, men and ladies, some of whom of you have never heard Prabhupada, never met Prabhupada. You never went on morning walks with Prabhupada, or never had the chance to sit in his room and ask him questions or something like that. Or when Prabhupada would come to the airport, there would be this massive celebration with flowers and everything and garlands and kirtan. It was quite an event. It was like very, very inspiring and transcendental. Vishwakarma Prabhu knows that. And everywhere Prabhupada went, he was received like a king, because he was like a king. He was the ambassador from Krishna, bringing Krishna consciousness fearlessly all over the world. Just like we see here, Śukadeva Goswami fearlessly wandered around. Why? Because he was completely transcendental to what was going on. completely detached from any attachment to this material world. He was the perfect person. That is why when we read earlier in the beginning of the class about the position of the Bhagavatam being the ripened fruit of the desire tree of Vedic knowledge. When you think of that, Vedic literature is very vast. There's the Vedas, there's the Itihasas like the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, the 18 Puranas, so many Samhitas, so many Pancharatra literatures, the Vedangas with regard to astronomy, architecture, medicine, warfare. There's so many different literatures, related Vedic literature. It is a vast ocean of knowledge. But this Bhagavatam is the essence of all knowledge. It is described the essence of all Vedic literatures. It is the ripened fruit of desire tree of Vedic knowledge. It has been sweetened by emanating from the mouth of Śukadeva Gosvāmī. In Vrindavan, we were taking a walk near the Keshi Ghat one time. And for those of you who have been to Vrindavan, there are some times of the year there are flocks of parrots, green parrots, very attractive birds. In Sanskrit, it's called shuka. So these parrots, they fly around looking for ripened fruit in the trees. And they will go and just take a little bite out of the tree. It makes it the fruit. It makes it sweeter. So the original message of Bhagavatam has been described. It has been sweetened by the touch, by the mouth of Śukadeva Gosvāmī. Now this is a very rare. Just like consider how many persons are on this planet, like 6 billion, 7 billion. I don't know. Is it 8 billion now or something? I don't know if anybody knows. Let's say 8 billion. How many people are devotees? And there's not that many devotees compared to how many people are on the planet. But it is very fortunate of us to have come in contact with the representative of Śukadeva Gosvāmī, Śrīla Prabhupāda, who delivers that message just like Śukadeva Gosvāmī delivered the message that he had heard from Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva heard the message from Narada Muni. Narada Muni heard the message originally from Krishna himself. Lord Brahma, the chief engineer of the universe, heard the Bhagavatam first from Krishna. It's passed down in disciplic succession. We've often discussed disciplic succession means the transmission of transcendental knowledge, the passing down of the transcendental knowledge. Śrīla Prabhupāda used to give the example that Krishna consciousness, or the knowledge of disciplic succession, is just like a mango. In India, during the mango season, when the mangoes are ripe, one person will go to the top of the tree and take the best mango and pass it down to another person, pass it down very gently so it does not get bruised. It does not get damaged. So like that, the message of the disciplic section is passed down by these great personalities, unchanged, unspoiled, without any personal interpretation. And this is a very important point. Prabhupada has often criticized mundane philosophers and professional pundits that we do not act like them. We do not engage in our personal interpretation. Just yesterday, I was discussing with some devotees. One devotee asked me, why is it that when some devotees are actually quoting from Śrīla Prabhupada many times, they have a difficulty presenting exactly what Śrīla Prabhupada is saying? They're paraphrasing, or they're deviating from the actual statement of Prabhupada. Somebody asked me, is it laziness? Is it ignorance? What is it? Because now with modern technology, we can get Prabhupada's statement exactly as they are. If Śrīla Prabhupada gives a complete sentence, it is not our business to cherry pick and start to interpret just part of the statement to try to make a political statement or some political agenda. This is not what it's all about. Just like Śukadeva Gosvāmī presented exactly the message as he heard it from Vyasadeva. Our business is simply to present the message exactly as we heard it from Śrīla Prabhupāda. And when you start changing, then there comes trouble. Then we go from he has seen the truth to they have seen the truth. We go with so many concoctions, so many nonsensical interpretations, and the whole thing becomes spoiled. There's not so much time left. I'm going to tell a little story. On the 22nd of June, 1977, in Vrindavan, Prabhupada had a conversation in his garden. It's been called the Rascal Editor's Conversation, in which Prabhupada was discussing why there had been different changes to his Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And after that conversation, after everybody dispersed, I happened to be by myself somewhere or other in Prabhupada's room, sitting in front of him, and he was very angry. He was very upset. And he took his paperweight. In India, you have these fans on the ceiling, and they have these paperweight to keep the papers from flying around. And he took it and he slammed it on the desk. And he says, "You there, you go tell the JBC. If they change one word from what I've written, it will spoil everything I've done. Now get out and go and tell them." And I was so stunned, I couldn't move. I was like frozen. And Prabhupada spoke louder. He says, "Get out. Go write a letter and tell them. Out." So I went out, drafted the letter, showed it to the secretary. I don't know what good it did. I don't know if anybody heard it, but obviously Prabhupada was giving a message. Do not change his message. Just like Śukadeva Goswami did not change the message that he had heard from Vyasadeva. He delivered it exactly. This is our task. This is our business as devotees and followers of Prabhupada. Follower means follow the instruction. It's not complicated. It's not difficult. Anybody can understand. Men, women, it doesn't matter who you are, what you are, whether you're intelligent or not intelligent, whether you're rich or poor, whether you're Japanese, Mongolian, Polish, English, Canadian, American, it doesn't matter. Just hear the message and it will take effect. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, for that wonderful explanation of today's verse and purports, because there is a lot of confusion about the process of yoga. What is the best yoga to practice in the Kali Yuga? Because there are different types of yoga, eightfold different systems of yoga, and the yogas that are based on exercise, pranayamas, breathing, and asanas like that are not as effective as the process of bhakti yoga, which is the essence of our practice. And that practice is based on hearing and chanting, not on asanas and pranayamas. So this is a critical part of our philosophy, and that's why the protection of the sound is crucial to the advancement of the practitioners. And this is the process that we're carefully following without any adulteration. And Prabhupada, when he was with us, he appeared to be, in some regards, acting as a simple, humble devotee, amongst us. I can remember Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu in Montreal at 3720 Park Avenue, which was the bowling alley on the third floor of a large building near McGill University. And when they originally were there, the devotees, there was only one bathroom in the facility. And Prabhupada would have to humbly stand in line in order to use it in the morning before the morning program. We were also there in Montreal for a year and a half or so, not during Prabhupada's personal presence there, but carrying on to maintain the center with our God brothers. And it was quite common that when you would stand in line, so there would be like 10 people standing in line to get into the washroom. And I always thought back then how interesting it was to think that Prabhupada would also stand in line like a regular member of the ashram to take his turn to get ready for the program. So someone could say, well, Prabhupada was just an ordinary person. He was just standing in line, waiting to use the washroom. This is an improper understanding of his position. And one should be very careful not to be familiar when it comes to Prabhupada's position as the representative of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. This, of course, can be very difficult. And it was unfortunate. Sometimes it was far better for us to serve in separation. This was our principle, just like the gopis serve in separation. So on a simple level, we served in separation. And Prabhupada would encourage us. And this would invoke his mercy. This is the secret of success in spiritual life, is to get the mercy of the spiritual master. And that is achieved through service and separation. Of course, we're never separated from the pure devotee, because I know all of us in this group, we constantly are hearing the philosophy from His Divine Grace in his books and his lectures. So, and then we're chanting our rounds, 16 rounds every day. And through this effective process of hearing from the pure devotee and chanting Hare Krishna, 16 rounds, we can also become a representative of Śrīla Prabhupāda in presenting this philosophy to others, which is, as we discussed yesterday, the most important service that we can render. And so Prabhupada, that will please Prabhupada, Śrīla Prabhupada, when he sees that we're actively engaged in the Sankirtan mission to the best of our ability. We could only do so much, depending on the circumstances that we're in, karmically and materially, because we all have difficulty in life. But if we are sincere, that's the most important part, remain sincere. And you did refer again to the purport, which I thought was very revealing, that Prabhupada said, if one is not prepared to give an oral reception to the words of a sadhu, there's no change or gaining anything from such sadhu. So this is the principle. One should remain humble, especially before the pure devotee, spiritual master. and not think that he or she has become greater than their guru. This is a classic error amongst most people in everything that goes on in this world. Everybody wants to be at the top of the ladder. But if we can remain a humble servants of the Lord and our spiritual master, then that is the secret of success. And there are so many opportunities for us to learn this philosophy. You were mentioning Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, the vast ocean of Vedic literature that's available and has been concisely presented to the disciples of Śrīla Prabhupāda by his mercy. So Prabhupada encouraged us, especially the new people like us, all of us, just read my books. That's all that's necessary. Read the Bhagavad Gita, study the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam in association with other like-minded persons, and study Chaitanya Charitamrita. Everything is in these books. He's brought them together in an easy way to understand them. A lot of times some people, they read all these other books from other saints and sadhus, and they give information, no question, about spiritual life. But Prabhupada, for his disciples, he specifically gave us this direction so we don't become confused. That's what happens. You read all these other books, and they can be very confusing and very difficult for the sincere aspirant in this process. And loyalty, by the way, it doesn't matter what field you're in. You can be in the medical field, you can be in the sports world, you can be in the political world, whatever field you're in. When you're in that group of people, they always demand loyalty. That's critical. If you're not loyal, then things, excuse me, I'm sorry about that. So in this way, things have to be fixed on the platform of loyalty to who? And what we're speaking about is our loyalty to Śrīla Prabhupāda. That loyalty to him, Guru Tattva. That's how you learn. And those devotees that are completely loyal to Śrīla Prabhupāda, there's a magic that takes place between them and him, because he lives with us in the transcendental sounds, the Vani incarnation, and in his instructions to us, which we are practicing or making an effort to practice every day. And especially, as I mentioned, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, the chanting of 16 rounds, critical to our advancement. Could you further elaborate?
Well, there's a lot of things to discuss, and one of the major points that Prabhupada is making today about hearing from a sadhu. Now, we've quoted that verse from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, that by associating with a sadhu, even for a very short duration of life, of time, one will get all perfection. We all know that Prabhupada encouraged book distribution, and he one time stated, even if they do not read the book, even if they just touch the book, they will benefit. Even if they just keep the book in their house without reading, they will benefit. So Prabhupada was quite aware of the great potency, the great powerful effect of Bhagavad Gita, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Just like yesterday was the anniversary of the advent of Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita was spoken on this day, yesterday. 5,000 years ago. And we read from Adi Shankaracharya the glorification of the Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada used to often quote, when he first came to America, from these various verses that were composed by Adi Shankaracharya, glorifying the effect of hearing Bhagavad Gita. In the Bhagavad Gita itself, in the 18th chapter, Krishna says that anyone who studies this literature, who hears this Bhagavad Gita, is worshiping me by his intelligence. One has to use his God-given intelligence to hear the message of Bhagavad Gita, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, sacred Shastra, and in this way make some spiritual advancement. I remember when I was in India in the early 1970s, we had a party in South India. And one of the devotees on this call, Narasimha Prabhu. Now, Narasimha Prabhu was born in America. He's Caucasian American. But he was doing some amazing service. He would go to a city with another Indian brahmachari, not knowing the language. And he would arrange programs, make all arrangements for accommodations or programs at Rotary Club or Lions Club, Kiwanis Club, whatever places where we're going to speak, making all kinds of arrangements. He was super austere, very, very intelligent Brahmin. And it was amazing how in a foreign country, without knowing the local language, he was able to do this. Because that is the effect of submissively hearing the message from a pure devotee. One will become empowered. Just like the reason I'm mentioning this is like there are many ladies that come to these events that we put. Now, during Prabhupada's manifested presence, many of these women, they did so much service with the book distribution, the deity worship, the cooking. So much work was done. This movement would be nowhere where it is without all the selfless sacrifices and service that all these Vaishnavis did. This is a very important point because a lot of devotees very sometimes less intelligently approach a topic, or women are less intelligent. Yeah, well, according to your birth, you may have a certain body. It's like a bear goes into the wood and a fish goes into the water. So one, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Striya Shudras. He mentioned the Shudras and the Vaishyas and the women. Yes, there are certain things stated in the Shastra, but by the association of a pure devotee, even a very small association, one can become completely transcendental to this material body, to this material existence, to this material engagement. And anybody can take advantage of this. Who knows what these devotees or these persons were in their past life? Prabhupada says in the Nectar of Devotion that usually when one takes the devotional service, it's because they've done this in a past life and they're taking it up again in this life. They're being given a chance again to make further advancement. So many of these devotees that came, just like that devotee who did all that service in South India in a very selfless, very nice way, and all these ladies and devotees who did all that book distribution, all that service, who knows what they were in a past life? We don't know. We should be very respectful to all the devotees who do service. Now, that's not a license for somebody to do some nonsense or misinterpret Śrīla Prabhupāda's statements or concoct something. Not like that. But we should appreciate the service of all the Vaishnavas and keep presenting the message of Śrīla Prabhupada without distortion, without concoction, without changes. And I encourage anybody on this call, if you have not gone to our websites, I believe it's HareKrishnaSociety.com and .org. Previously, it was KrishnaConsciousnessMovement.com, KRASHNA, Consciousness Movement, all one word. Go in there. There are many wonderful articles, hundreds of articles. I was told recently that there's more than 2,006 articles on the website. I was wondering, oh, no wonder why it's taking a little bit of time to rearrange it and, reconfigure it. But anybody is welcome. The articles are there. You can associate there. And we encourage everybody to take deep, deep association with Śrīla Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Haribol. And yes, association is the key, and it's available in the transcendental literatures of Śrīla Prabhupada, and the sound vibration. This is your shelter. And the chanting of the holy names. And we have Dharma Bhavana in Dallas, Texas, who's active in preaching this message to the membership in that local area. And we'd like him to share some of his realizations this morning on these topics. Dharma Bhavana in Dallas.
Hare Krishna. Yeah,
Haribol.
excuse me. I have a new iPad, and I'm having trouble with my video showing. So
That's
I'm still
fine.
working on that part.
The sound is good, though, so we'll
Okay.
listen.
But all the participants here who were just simply listening, it seems to me, are actually contributing in quite a profound way. Because part of Krishna consciousness, we understand how if we use the automobile, airplanes, dictaphone, or Zoom for the Lord's service, all these things become, spiritual. It is a very kind of profound, wonderful thing that material things can become spiritual by being used in the Lord's service. I think we call it Yukta Vairagya. And I was reading yesterday from the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam preface. I wanted to read just a little bit. It says here in the second paragraph in the preface, human society at the present moment is not in the darkness of oblivion. It has made rapid progress in the field of material comforts, education, and economic development throughout the entire world. But there is a pinprick somewhere in the social body at large, and therefore there are large-scale quarrels, even over less important issues. There is need of a clue as to how humanity can become one in peace, friendship, and prosperity with a common cause. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam will fill this need, for it is a cultural presentation for the re-spiritualization of the entire human society. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam should be introduced also in the schools and colleges, for it is recommended by the great student devotee Prahlad Maharaj in order to change the demoniac face of society. And then it goes on more. Anyway, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Haribol. And I see we have a quote from Rupesh, our godbrother Rupesh Chawan. The Vedic literatures composed by the omniscient Mahamuni Vyasadeva are evidence of all spiritual existence. Only through these revealed scriptures can all conditioned souls attain knowledge. So this is very relevant and related to today's class, because if you get this message from the pure devotee, the spiritual master A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, then everything can be revealed to you. But if it's tainted in any way, shape, or form, then it becomes a hindrance. We have Jonas Priya in Hawaii. I know it's early for him. If he could make a few comments on today's discussion and verse, it'd be
Hare
appreciated.
Krishna, Haribol, grace to Śrīla Prabhupada, aloha to everybody. Yes, Gita Jayanti, very important date in our Vaishnava calendar. I always try to chant the whole Bhagavad Gita with whoever I could find on that day, and yesterday I couldn't find anybody, so I just put on the Gita audio and hang in there for 2 hours and 40 minutes. And when you listen to the whole Gita, you might force yourself, but it's so nectar. It's like the immunity shot for everything. If you read the whole book at once, it's like, even if we don't understand it, simply by holding the book and trying, like Prabhupada says, just try to understand. So we listen to Prabhupada through the Bhagavad Gita, and my favorite verse, 434, from one person. Listen to one person, the Guru, the real devotee. Why? Because he's seen the truth. He's not experimenting. He's not trying to figure it out. No. He's so mature in this knowledge that he could transmit that knowledge to those who are sincerely trying to awaken that love of God in our hearts. Because this is the whole process of Krishna consciousness, is to awaken that love of Krishna in the heart. And so how do we awaken this love? Prabhupada says, chant the holy names, follow the whole principles, offer your food to Krishna, which is the Tulsi, read my books, associate with devotees, and you're guaranteed to go back home. And this process, he says, is very simple. Anybody could do it. Even a child could do it. And we've seen videos of even dogs. The devotees are chanting on the streets, and dogs come and they start howling. You know, when dogs try to sing with people, there's more than one video. So a child could understand it. Anybody could understand this. Why? Because it's, by nature, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for this love. We're all looking for love. And the love is there through the medium of the Guru. Prabhupada has so much love to give, so much love. And we all have to simply just pray to Prabhupada, to the Vaishnavas, to please don't disown me. Please somehow keep me in the association of you devotees. Please keep me in a place where I could hear devotees talking about Krishna, even if I'm not attracted, because simply just by hanging in there, eventually one will become attracted. So I'm just faking it till I make it, and I know that I will make it. Why? Because Krishna says so, and Prabhupada says so, and I believe 100% that what Guru and Krishna says, what else do I need? If I have the association of the Vaishnavas that are sincerely trying to please Prabhupada, I'm the most fortunate person in the universe. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhupada is, this is why we stress this to our group, that Prabhupada is the transparent via media for Krishna. And we recently read a passage concerning Prabhupada's translation of the books. And he was saying to his disciples that I didn't write these books. Actually, and that's why he enjoys reading them, because he explained that Krishna is speaking through me. So Prabhupada further explained like this. So the Acharya, Lord Chaitanya, he was referring to Lord Chaitanya, and to all the Acharyas in the disciplic succession, whatever they say, that's Shastra. That's why we study very carefully the letters. If you read the letters, and there's so many wonderful directions in his letters, thousands and thousands of letters that he composed and sent to his disciples to give us understanding, further explanation of the philosophy through personal interaction with his disciples. So he wasn't an impersonal guru, an impersonal leader of a movement. He was a very personal, involved leader of his mission with a lot of devotees. And those are very important tools for all of us to study. And as we move forward in our programs into the future, it is planned to, at the beginning of the classes and the discussions and readings, we'll start to read various important letters for everyone to get an insight into how Prabhupada wanted us to act on a practical level while involved with the Krishna conscious mission. So this is something we can look forward to. And further, I see we have Neil Shama Das here. He's got his hand up. Neil Shama Das.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare
Whereabouts
Krishna,
are you?
Prabhuji.
Yes. Where are you?
I am from Florida, but right now I am.
Are you Miami? Oh, there he is.
Yes.
Neil Shama.
Yes.
Sorry. Excellent.
Yes.
Thank you. Please go
Hare
ahead.
Krishna.
Haribo.
My question is to Yaśodā-nandana Dāsa Prabhu.
Yes.
Prabhuji, you mentioned that everybody needs to be respected. The movement is where the movement is because of a lot of selfless work which has been done by so many devotees and disciples. Whenever we talk to the other camp, especially when I try to motivate others that to follow Prabhupada and not to follow any of these so-called self-appointed gurus, one of the commonest things which ISKCON propagates is Vaishnava Aparadha. By questioning them, by questioning their position, by questioning their stance, you are doing Vaishnava Aparadha. You should not. And of course, they malign the Ritviks constantly by saying that, oh, they're doing big time Vaishnava Aparadha. There'll be no scope for them anywhere. And that is number one. And then number two, and this is my question also in my mind, is when they are offering bhoga to Śrīla Prabhupāda through their spiritual guru. Now, of course, we know that there is no disciplic succession from that side. Is the bhoga really becoming prasad? Number one. And then number two is whatever they are chanting, Prabhupada says very clearly that you should avoid listening to this Maha Mantra from the lips of a non-devotee as much as possible. So many a times, even with me and my wife, my Mataji, she likes to listen to anybody and everybody because it's a Maha Mantra. I said, no, I refuse to listen to anybody from the other camp because it is not purity. Why would Prabhupada say that avoid it from the lips of a non-devotee as much as possible? Could you please share these three things, share more light, so how we can motivate others, other jivas who are being entrapped in the wrong direction and make them follow Prabhupada directly?
Well, with regards to the first question, this is a technique. It's a political technique, basically, to avoid discussing and confronting issues, even issues that are controversial or difficult to deal with. And this was used right from the beginning in 1978, when some of us tried to discuss with some members of the GBC about these issues. The first thing they started, oh, you're all envious. You're all, you should not be asking these questions. You should just accept. And eventually some devotees labeled it the parampara pablum. Pablum is very soft, easy to digest food that you give to infants, to babies, because they cannot digest hard food. They cannot just digest the rice dal and chapatis when they're, 4 months old. They take this pablum. This parampablam is a way of saying just accept, shut up, don't question, and don't make trouble. Well, that's nice. It's nice to say, but there's a lot of questions. And the reason why there were so many questions is because that whole system was not based on Prabhupada's instructions. It was a political concoction, this whole guru appointment. It's a nonsense misinterpretation. And this has been dealt with by many, many devotees from England, from America, from Russia, from Canada, from all over the place. Many devotees have basically discussed this issue beyond the official quote-unquote network of the leaders of ISKCON, because they will not allow public debate. Because public debate means immediately it will go to the history of what has happened, and that's why they say, oh, it's offensive to discuss. They were using that to debating, or you're offending the great devotees. Nobody is trying to offend anybody. Nobody is offending anybody. They're trying to discuss and understand, because there was so much secrecy, so much political nonsense, so much suppression and oppression of devotees, suppression of discussion, especially in the beginning, and the same mentality we had right out of the gate in 1978, where one guru said, there is nothing to discuss. We have already discussed everything. They should just accept. Well, I'm sorry, this is not the way that this philosophy is discussed. Might is right is not the philosophy that's going to succeed in spreading this movement. That's political nonsense. Now, I see maybe you can rephrase some of these other two questions you had there. That's for the first question. What about the other two questions?
The second question was, is the bhog offered by the other camp really becoming prasadam?
Well, that's an interesting question. First of all, in order to understand how Śrīla Prabhupāda, the founder of this movement, how he instructed his disciples to offer the bhoga. The bhoga becomes prasadam when it is offered according to the instruction of the Acharya. And I'm quite familiar with the argument on both sides, what they say, that Prabhupada said to go in 1976 and compile a small deity worship manual of about 20 pages based on the Hari Bhakti Vilas, and they claim they did that, which they really did not. But basically, to go back to the original point, Śrīla Prabhupada, right from 1967-68, taught the devotees how to offer the bhoga. He gave specific prayers. The basic fundamental point is to offer it with devotion, with love and devotion. But Prabhupada gave specific letters, like, for example, in one letter in 1968 to one Mataji named Balai Devi Dasi, Prabhupada said, you offer 3 times to the spiritual master, 3 times to Lord Chaitanya, Namo Mahabhadanyaya, 3 times to Lord Krishna, Namo Brahmanya Devaya, and then you wait, you recite the prayers 3 times, and then you afterwards, after 10-15 minutes, you can take the bhoga from the altar, and it is prasadam. It is offered with love and devotion. This was a very simple, non-complicated way of Śrīla Prabhupada introducing the way to offer prasadam. Now, when they offer prasadam to some of these other individuals, I really cannot, I'm very hesitant to even give the answer whether it's prasadam or not. Because first of all, Prabhupada said the prasadam should be cooked by initiated Brahmins. This is well known. Well, a lot of time it's not cooked by initiated Brahmins. Number 2, the prasadam is supposed to be offered according to certain ingredients. When Prabhupada was with us, we didn't cook with dalda or corn oil or some kind of cheap vegetable oil. This was not allowed when you cook for the deities, or even for Sunday feast or something. We cook with ghee. And now I'm hearing so many stories of the food stuff, the bhoga is being prepared in various ways by non-initiated Brahmins, or in some instances by people who are, quasi-devotees. So it creates a problem. But the method of offering that they have is defective. What they have done is concocted that they should offer directly to Krishna, and then to Lord Chaitanya, and then to Prabhupada, claiming that you cannot offer to Krishna foodstuff that's been offered or enjoyed by the Guru. Well, first of all, there are many letters from Śrīla Prabhupada explaining in statements and conversations that the foodstuff is offered to the Guru. He offers it to his Guru, and then he offers it to his Guru. And it goes like that in disciplic succession all the way to Lord Chaitanya, all the way to Krishna. Now, if somebody may say, well, the Madhvas and Ramanujas and Nimbarkas and Vallabhas, all these Vaishnavas, they do it different. Well, we don't criticize any other sampradaya, or even the Gaudiya Math for the way they're offering. We are concerned with the way that Prabhupada taught us how to offer the prasadam, and this is how it should be followed. As for those people who have some way or other mistakenly misunderstood that Prabhupada is enjoying the bhoga, That's nonsense. That is not what Prabhupada said. That is not correct. It is defective. As far as hearing from other Vaishnavas, well, I've often criticized or made statements that nowadays we see so many new mantras popping up. For example, in different temples like Vrindavan or Russia or Varanasi in Uttar Pradesh, India, they have had some kind of a mantra with accordion and some gypsy dancing, Jai Bolo, Jai Krishna, Jai Radhe, Jai Krishna, all this. I don't know where they get these mantras from, whether they get this from some sahajiyas or a rickshawala or some Bengali fisherman. Where do they get these ideas from? Some of these mantras were not given by Śrīla Prabhupāda. They were not taught by our Śrīla Prabhupāda. Now, of course, somebody may argue, well, it's the name of Krishna, it's the name of Radha. Yes, it is the name of Krishna, but it should be done in proper disciplic succession. How we have received it from Śrīla Prabhupāda. This is how Prabhupada taught us how to chant the kirtan, Namam Vishnu Padaya, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Hare Krishna, so many bona fide authorized bhajans, according to our disciplines, and so many chant like Govinda Jaya Jaya or Jai Jagannath. There's so many authorized chants. But what we have nowadays is a proliferation of these concocted chants that nobody can explain where it's from. It should not be done like that. As far as whether it's non-devotees or sahajiyas, well, people are free to reach their own conclusion. Why not follow Prabhupada the way that he wanted to be followed? That is not difficult to understand. And I'm sure Vishwakarma knows this because he was also in Prabhupada's presence. When Prabhupada several times stopped kirtan, would have his personal servant or his secretary go down to the kirtan and say, stop the kirtan, Prabhupada, stop the kirtan, when things would go out of hand or something. Maybe Vishwakarma, you can say something about this.
Well, I'll just very briefly. I was in Mayapur, Prabhu, in 1975. I believe they had a contest, a kirtan contest, and I was staying up on the, there was only one building in Mayapur at the time. It was that main building where Prabhupada had his quarters. We were sleeping, Prabhu, by the way, in a cement wall along the outside perimeter of Mayapur. So it was like we would have 8 men sleeping in one room with a cement floor. So you just put your sleeping bag down on the floor, you'd sleep there. But I was up in the building and on the second floor. I wasn't participating in the contest. And then the message went out to stop the chanting from Prabhupada. He sent someone down because it was taking the sort of direction of Sahajiya chanting, like this. For example, like that. Kishano. They changed the words from Rama to Ramo and all kinds of. Prabhupada did not like that. He was quite strict in dealing with his disciples. Some people say, well, you should never chastise. Do you think that Prabhupada never chastised people? That's because you have no idea how Prabhupada was trying to help us understand this process according to how he had learned it from his spiritual master. This is very precise, just like a surgeon. A surgeon is precise in when he performs the operation. He's precise because he learned it properly from other expert surgeons while he was studying the art of medicine. So the same way, Krishna consciousness is not this way, that way. It's precisely a certain way. And we can learn that way by referring to his letters, by referring to his books, by going to his lectures. Very insightful. And then, if we have questions nowadays, we can discuss them with Prabhupada disciples that are committed to this process of protecting his legacy. This aparad business, that's just the whimsical statements of a few inexperienced, foolish people that are following these elected gurus because they're unfortunate in their situation. And we have compassion on them. I feel sorry for them. What can you do? Yes, Prabhu, please.
Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, but I still need to get a little clarity, is that, as you said, and I understand, is that when you offer bhoga, you offer it to Śrīla Prabhupada. And because we are several reasons. Number one, we are conditioned souls. We have made a lot of aparadh even in cooking the bhoga. So Prabhupada will rectify it and take it to his spiritual master, and his spiritual master will take it to his, and that is how it reaches Krishna.
Yeah.
Now, if I am a disciple of a fake guru, and I am in the same understanding that I am going to offer it to my fake guru, spiritual master, who will take it to Śrīla Prabhupada, because obviously in modern day ISKCON, I cannot approach Śrīla Prabhupada directly. I have to go through them. But because there is a disconnect, will Śrīla Prabhupada accept the bhoga offering which is brought to him by this fake guru? Because number 3 offense of chanting the Mahamantra is not following your spiritual master's instructions. So I don't care who you are. You may be chanting 18 rounds, 64 rounds, who cares? But as long as you're not following the Guru Parampara, you are committing the number 3 offense. It's number 3 offense of the 10 offenses. So my bhoga is not becoming prasad, and my chanting is not reaching Krishna. I may get some benefit, but I'm not getting the full potency of the benefit, like how Prabhupada says, do not hear this mantra from non-devotees as much as you would not touch milk touched by a serpent.
Well, you've answered your own question. I mean, I couldn't state it better, because in Sanskrit it's called guror avagnya, to disobey the order of the Acharya. We have no instruction from Śrīla Prabhupada anywhere during his manifested presence, I'm referring here, that he said to change the entire way of offering prasadam, to change the entire way of offering artik, or even to change the whole process of initiation like the way they have done. They claim they have some instruction, but that instruction is simply speculation and interpretation. They don't have any record of factual statement from Prabhupada where he said to introduce the system they've introduced. And this is the problem. The reason this schism is there is because they concocted these things out of personal ambition. This issue was raised by Prabhupada himself in a letter in the mid-1970s. And Prabhupada says, I have personal experience how that many persons have interpreted the words of Guru Maharaj for personal sense gratification. And Prabhupada says, I'm always afraid of this great crack. The persons in this movement that were responsible for preventing this great crack from happening are the very persons who introduce all this nonsense. So, I mean, as far as going whether they are non-devotees, let's say that I'm not going to go and publicly say they are non-devotees, they may be devotees, but it's obviously that there are many deviated devotees, or sahaja devotees, or devotees who do not correctly understand the philosophy of Krishna consciousness and the parampara system. Why have they changed the instruction of how to offer the bhoga when Prabhupada gave no such instruction to change it? There's no reason for it. It's the same thing with the chanting. Prabhupada gave us very specific way of doing kirtan, doing japa. Now we see a proliferation of so much nonsense. Why they have concocted this? Because it makes money. It attracts Hindus that they can get money from them. Unfortunately, that is one of the reasons. It is best to avoid hearing from such persons, But I'm not going to go as far and say and condemn them, say they are non-devotees. Yeah, they're devotees. They have the dress of devotees. They have the tilak of devotees. Whether one should hear from them or not, one has to use his intelligence. Prabhupada has warned, do not hear from Sahajiyas. Do not hear from Mayavadis. Take, for example, we've dealt with this before. The GBC of ISKCON and gurus of ISKCON, that their legal representative, have filed in Washington, D.C. a statement in the United States Copyright Office that Prabhupada was a worker for hire. Oh, excuse me. The Mahabhagavat Nityasuddha pure devotee has now become like your employee. This is really what they're really saying. Although I understand the legalities here, I've worked for lawyers for 30 years, I understand the legalities, what they're trying to say, but it is incorrect. It is a morally and spiritually bankrupt idea. Just for making money doesn't make it right. We have to do things correctly according to the instruction of Prabhupada. And it's best not to hear from persons like that who concoct and manufacture all these interpretations. You are correct in your assessment, but we should not go in public and level accusations whether they're non-devotees or let's say they are devotees, whatever, motivated devotees, whatever they may be. So just like Prabhupada, like our friend Rupesh Prabhu is saying, just like in our ISKCON, there are so many things that people say, Prabhupada said this, Prabhupada said that. There's a lot of things they claim that Prabhupada said that Prabhupada never said. And it all starts from this bogus idea, this concocted interpretation that Prabhupada said, oh, he appointed these gurus. Oh, really? When we start asking when they were appointed, when they got the order, then all hell breaks loose. Then they say, oh, you're an offender, you're a blasphemer, you're a critic, you're this, you're that. You cannot have a discussion unless a person is reasonable. You cannot have a reasonable debate with an unreasonable person. And I'm sure you've experienced that. And then we've also experienced that same problem. Because what we saw in the beginning, when we started to bring these points, then the so-called discussion and debate escalated with a propaganda, a vicious propaganda. You're all envious, you're all rascals, you're all demons, you're all this, you're all that, followed by threats of physical beating, threats of assassination. We've seen this. One devotee was killed, Solochan, because he discussed these issues and wrote a book about it. This is how they are, the fanatics, the crazies, who claim that anybody who discuss anything that's not in line, anybody who doesn't take their dish of parampara pablum is labeled as an offender and a blasphemer. Well, I'm sorry. We're not some mundane organization. The Holy Mother Church of the GBC is being challenged on all sides by all kinds of people, even their own people. Their own people are having doubts how they're handling all the case of molestation, of abuse, abuse of women, abuse of devotees, banning, beating, suing. So much nonsense has gone on. And devotees are now questioning, why are they behaving? Because they've lost their connection with Śrīla Prabhupada. The result of disobeying the order of the guru is one gradually loses its connection and concocts all kinds of things. They invent, they manufacture interpretations. So we'll leave it at that for now. I hope it helps. You can also contact us by email if you like. Both Vishwakarma Prabhu and myself have emails. You can contact us or contact Venkat Bhatta Prabhu. He'll let you know how to reach us. Yes?
So there's a corollary to this whole thing. A few years ago, when I was really active in ISKCON Miami,
Yes.
we had a Rath Yatra. And
Mhm.
whenever we have a Rath Yatra, we want to invite as many people from the community as possible. And of course, we had Prabhuji who drives the 18-wheeler.
Madhuha.
Madhuha Prabhu. Madhuha Prabhu had come with his 18-wheeler, and we were trying to make it in a very big way. We managed to get a lot of funds. And then the whole conversation of Prasadam started there, where I wanted to invite as many local food vendors as possible so that it is an attraction for the normal, mundane, conditional soul. even I'm one of them. It's not that I'm not, but to attract food. So the question is, how are we going to distribute prasad? So they said, oh, as you mentioned, it has to be cooked only by a brahmana. So I said, okay, then how does Food for Life and how does Akshaya Patra work? Not all those people who are cooking for Food for Life or Akshaya Patra are brahmanas. We are cooking prasadam, we are distributing prasadam to millions and millions of people every single day. It is one brahmana who takes the cooked prasad and offers it to Śrīla Prabhupāda in a small DT, which is there in every Akshaya Patra. Whichever Akshaya Patra I have seen kitchen, they've always had one temple over there. They put it on the small side because they don't want to make it a big issue, because of course they want to balance it between the corporate side and the spiritual side, but it is a spiritual movement. And so the question comes, we are not distributing prasad. And I got into an argument with the GPC of Miami, the then GPC of Miami over there, two individuals. And
what was his name?
No, we cannot.
What's his name?
There were two. One was Mataji. I think it is Malati Mataji. She insists to call Malati Didi. Okay. And the other one was from Canada. He's the one who does a lot of artistic work, meaning dramas.
Bhakti Marg, John Viz.
John Viz. Yes. So Bhakti Marg, and I got into this, is that how does Food for Life work? Nobody bothered to answer me. Nobody returned my email. And I said that if you tell me that only Brahmanas can cook, then Akshaya Patra is a hoax, Food for Life is a hoax, any Sunday feast is a hoax, because no Brahmana is cooking in the common kitchen. In fact, there was an argument with me and my wife also, that she got an opportunity, though she was not initiated, she got an opportunity to cook in the kitchen for the DT kitchen. And I was cooking in the regular kitchen. I said, you think you're cooking for DT for Krishna? I'm here cooking for Śrīla Prabhupāda's instructions. That is distributing the prasadam so much to as many conditioned souls as possible, to try to live at that spot. You think that you are better by cooking in the DT kitchen? No. You are better by being dasanu das, by cooking for the normal people and offering it to Śrīla Prabhupada. That's the most important thing. It is not anything else. And that kind of shook us up also a little bit. But the whole question is, it cannot be Brahmana. A Brahmana can take the cooked food and improvise it or offer it to Śrīla Prabhupada, and Śrīla Prabhupada does it and takes it up all the way to Krishna. And that is how we can offer prasadam to hundreds and thousands and millions of individuals.
That's a good point. It's a very important point, because this idea of taking the bhoga, that the bhoga should be prepared by initiated Brahmins. What Prabhupada meant was initiated Brahmins who follow his program, who follow his instruction, chant 16 rounds, follow the principles, are engaged. We are not professional cooks. In other words, there's a distinction between vegetarian food and prasadam. Prasadam is foodstuff that is vegetarian, but is offered specifically, prepared and offered specifically according to instructions of the Acharya, just like they do in Jagannath Puri and Sri Rangam and Udupi. They don't just take food from the market and put it in front of the deity. That's not how it works. So you're raising some good points. As far as Akshaya Patra, I'm not going to comment on what they do. It's, there is a difference between distribution of vegetarian foodstuffs and distribution of bona fide prasadam. There is a distinction. Bona fide prasadam has to be offered specifically according to a specific way, prepared a specific way, and offered a specific way. But nowadays, everything has become compromised, as you've figured out. And if you try to bring it up, then they say, oh, no, you're a blasphemer. You're not in line. You didn't eat your parampara Pablo. You didn't just accept the authority. Hey, we're not stupid, okay? We're adults. We're raising legitimate questions without personal attacks. We're not interested in personal attacks. We are interested in raising and discussing bona fide, legitimate issues that people like yourself and ourselves and everybody is discussing. Unfortunately, the leader have insulated themselves behind their castle and their moat and their ivory tower, saying, oh, we can't discuss this. You're an offender. You're a blasphemer. You're envious. You're this, you're that. Well, why are you changing and deviating from Prabhupada's instruction? What are you? So these are legitimate questions that devotees should discuss. Devotees should educate themselves as to Prabhupada's statements and not just accept anything blindly. Prabhupada never encouraged devotees to accept anything blindly. What time do we have now?
It's 11:57, so we're going to thank you, Prabhu, for that very
good points.
Yeah, very
good
profound and well spoken. And we appreciate that very much. And we have gone way over time. It's now almost 12 noon here in Eastern Canada and down there in Miami as well. So it's time for the class and discussion to end. And I do apologize to this Prabhu. I said we would answer his question, but if you come to the next class, please bring it up again and we will, we'll deal with it as best we can from our, work that's going on.
Fine. No problem, Prabhu. Yeah, I'll try to join the next class.
I'm sorry about that, but please, it's not personal. It's just a circumstantial situation where there are time restrictions, and
No. I understand. Yeah, that's fine. I'll ask in the next class.
Perfect. Thank you very much for attending, and all of you for being a part of this group as we move forward. And it's very enlivening for us to have good people join us and give great input into the process of Krishna consciousness according to the directions of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupāda. Let's move forward for the final kirtan and chant. So chant along on this day before Christmas here in Canada. Hare Krishna.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.